Welcome back to the Cosmic Folds Paranormal Highway Indiana Edition, Part 2. Last time we explored hauntings and eerie lights. Tonight, we're venturing into the strange history of Indiana's beasts, mysterious creatures that terrified farmers, baffled authorities, and filled newspapers from the 1890s through the 1950s. It all begins in 1895. Near Washington, Indiana, a farmer named Henry Dosch spotted what looked like a cow stuck in a snowdrift. But when he came closer with a shovel, he realized it wasn't a cow at all. He called his brother, and together they fired at the creature with a shotgun and revolver. The animal leapt nearly 20 feet and vanished. Witnesses said it looked like a bear, except it had a long, bushy tail. 13 years later, in 1908, the swamps of Knox County made headlines with reports of a water monster. Locals called it the Hell's Neck Howler. Some claimed it was a crocodile. Others thought it was a marine beast. Farmers swore it howled with a deep, human-like voice, and one man said it sounded like a dog trying to howl and swallow a bone at the same time. That same year, farmers near Akron, Indiana, began hearing a different creature. Its cry sounded like the shriek of a terrified woman, and its eyes glowed like fire. One night, Miss Clara Orr went to check her pig pen and saw the glowing eyes of the beast among her hogs. She screamed for help, and her neighbors fired at the creature, but it escaped unharmed. Circuses were questioned, panthers and lynxes were suggested, but the mystery was never solved. In 1909, a quieter but no less curious discovery was made. A farmer in Hazleton unearthed a petrified turtle while plowing his field. The specimen was perfectly intact, weighing 8 ounces. The newspaper speculated it may have been placed there long ago by Native Americans. By the late 1920s, Indiana's beast stories were back in full force. In 1928, a strange animal tore a screen door from a house in Fayetteville. Joseph Smith wasted no time in organizing a posse to hunt it down. Though authorities thought it was simply a dog gone wild, the townsfolk weren't about to let a mystery slip by. In 1929, another posse shot what they believed to be a lion that had carried off a 60-pound pig. The truth was almost stranger. The creature was actually a massive police dog, so shaggy around the head and shoulders that it looked like a lion to everyone who saw it. The pattern continued into 1939. When Pike County farmers spent Christmas Day hunting what some swore was a lion. Armed with shotguns and clubs, they scoured the snowy countryside. Authorities once again concluded it was nothing more than a big dog, but the debate lingered. By the 1950s, Indiana's monsters had become public spectacles. In 1954, hundreds of people swarmed the Whalen Farm near Orleans after reports of a beast that screamed, howled, and roared. Mrs. Whalen described it as ragged on top, reddish-brown, and as tall as a man when it stood upright. She thought it was a gorilla. Officials suggested it might be a panther. Farmers carried guns just to milk their cows, and families refused to go outdoors at night. The monster's eerie howls echoed through the cornfields for weeks before it disappeared. From bushy-tailed beasts to crocodiles with human voices, from petrified turtles to screaming monsters in the cornfields, Indiana has long been home to strange and unforgettable tales. And one thing is certain, whenever a strange beast appeared, the whole town turned out. Pauses formed, shots were fired, and the mystery lived on.
The truth is out there, and it begins with you. Welcome to the Cosmic Fold, where we talk high strangeness. Call us at 928-288-2942. That's 928-288-2942. Or join us by video. If you're at a computer, just look for the link in the chat. Buckle up, sit around our virtual campfire, and let's get started.
In Indiana, it seems you almost need to hire a fortune teller just to figure out which fortune tellers are real and which ones are out to rob you blind. Over the years, newspapers have reported one scam after another, schemes so bizarre you'd think no one could possibly fall for them. But fall, they did. And the price tags, when adjusted to today's money, are jaw-dropping. Tonight, we're riding the Cosmic Folds Paranormal Highway, Indiana edition, with a pit stop at the Psychic Parlor of Fraud, where the crystal ball is just a cash register in disguise. In 1891, an elderly woman named Miss Remley got tangled up in the whispers of a mystic brought to her by her neighbor, Mrs. Mary Heenan. At first, the fortune teller needed a small investment, a few $100s. Then another. Soon, Miss Remley was asked to sign over her entire house and property to keep her money safe. By the end, Remley had lost nearly $1,800, which in today's money is around $60,000. And the kicker? The fortune teller supposedly died mid-scam, leaving Mrs. Heenan holding the deeds. Convenient. Fast forward to 1908. Enter Mrs. Killian, a nervous woman who believed a fortune teller could fix her rocky marriage. The psychic's solution? For $15, about $500 today, she got a blue flannel bag containing a handwritten prayer scroll with lines like, "May no slander be effective against me, and liars and slanderers are an abomination." Mrs. Killian wore the magic pouch around her neck, and even stuck it in her husband's bed to cure his meanness. Shockingly, this didn't work. Instead, the court revealed she'd been funneling grocery money to the fortune teller the entire time. By 1921, fortune tellers had moved from love and family cures to crime solving. A man named Fisher lost $43, about $750 today, to a thief. Instead of calling police, his wife traveled to Terre Haute to ask a fortune teller for help. The psychic confidently described the culprit. A tall man, brown suit, dirty shirt, walks with a cane. Oh, and he blew the cash in a poker game the same night. The Fishers never found the man. The police, after hearing the story, dryly noted the fortune teller knew about as much as the Sultan of Sulu. Then came one of the bigger hits. In 1944, an elderly woman from Muncie sought help from a fortune teller named Mrs. Williams. Her problem? Her husband had left home. For $50 up front, about $900 today, she got the psychic's attention. The ritual. Put your life savings into a bag with some breadcrumbs and a photo of your husband, then wear it around your neck. She withdrew $2,400. In cash, nearly $40,000 today. Stuffed it in the bag and handed it over. When that didn't bring hubby home, the fortune teller suggested she should wear the money bag instead. Spoiler, she disappeared with it. And finally, the 1980s, the decade of big hair, neon clothes, and black magic egg tricks. Police investigated a woman claiming she could purify souls. Victims were told they were cursed and needed to perform rituals. One woman was instructed to rub an egg in a man's handkerchief over her body, put 3 $20 bills in her right shoe, and sleep with it under her bed. Later, she was told to add 9 $10 bills and a tomato, then rub the tomato over her head. When the egg was cracked open, it contained a black slimy mass, proof of the curse. The fortune teller, of course, needed to keep the cash to purify it. Then came the upsell, another $1,300, about $3,800 today, for special candles. Police finally raided her home, and after some wrangling, the victim's original $150 was returned. The tomato and egg, however, remained unsalvageable. From deeds to houses, to magic blue bags, to slimy eggs and cursed tomatoes, Indiana's fortune teller frauds are a reminder that desperation makes easy prey. Over the years, thousands of dollars, amounting to tens of thousands in today's money, were handed over to these so-called psychics. The only thing they truly saw in the future? The victim's wallet, getting lighter. Welcome to the Cosmic Folds Paranormal Highway.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, whoop, we got just the camera.
Bove's got a
go.
new camera. It looks really nice. You look real.
I cleaned it.
Well, Bove's got a new one. Look at how
Yeah.
good that looks.
Look at you.
I got a 4K something super duper for $40.
You're shitting in high cotton, sweetie.
I know. Cotton's high.
And you didn't even need to sit on an egg and rub a tomato on your head.
Yeah, that was gross.
You see those?
Jonettes.
You see those? You won't later.
I can't eat donuts.
Rubbing the thing and what was all of that?
Well, it was all these psychic frauds out there in Indiana, and it was just shocking. You know, the amount of money translated to today's dollars, attacking widows and sucking in like $60,000. That's just awful.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, if you're at the point where you are listening to someone telling you to rub fruits and vegetables on your head, you're not having a good mental health day and should probably go back to bed.
It's true.
This is true. And you missed that, El, when you were coming on. The Beast story in the beginning was hilarious because it's like all of them were dogs.
That's totally my fault. I was on a conference call with other people. One of my dearest friends, as you know, passed away a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
so
you guys have done.
Is there going to be a service or blah 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 blah? And then we just got to catching up, and then I look at my watch and it says 7:03. I'm like, oh crap! Then I look at my phone and I'm like, oh crap! I come in and
no worries at all. I'm just surprised you're even here because you guys have gone through a lot of that this past week. So
it's been a rough week, but it's been bittersweet because the two people that passed away within days of each other were in an incredible amount of pain and suffering. My sister-in-law had gotten long COVID, and it just destroyed her respiratory system to where up until she died, for a long time, she had use of less than 1/4 of, so had to be on oxygen and all that, and everything hurt. Everything hurt. My brother, Dan, had so many surgeries, back surgeries. He's had TENS units fused to his spine. He's had his hips replaced, his knees replaced, and he was in a lot of. Sorry, I miss him dearly, but for the last couple of years, especially the last couple of months, it has been a miserable existence for him.
Yeah.
He was barely mobile, and he was coming out of his house with his crutches, and just took a tumble down the stairs, and that was like a 4-foot fall. He's 76 years old or 77, I think. So with all those problems, he lingered in the hospital for 10 days. It wasn't pleasant, and I know that they're in somewhere that's not here where they're going through that. So
exactly. Yeah. Wow. So, how are you doing, Bove?
I'm doing all right. The dog is good. I'm good. The house is quiet. Nobody lives here but me. And I like it.
I was fixing to say, you don't look too broken up about that.
I'm not.
Oh man. We got a lot of cool stuff on the on the agenda today, don't we?
We do. So let me pull up our and I even have some little videos to interject as we go. Some news reports and things like that, public domain stuff.
Yeah. Sweet.
But this is part 2 of our to wrap up Indiana. So
and you wouldn't think Indiana would be the kind of state that would need 2 episodes.
I know,
right? This is true. Very true.
Something every day. So, yes. Let's talk about Indiana's cryptids and monsters because you have to. Oscar, the Beast of Busco, Churubusco, 1949. That's a cool AI image. That's very cool. Back in 1898, a farmer named Oscar Fulk swore he saw a turtle the size of a rowboat living in his little lake near Churubusco, Indiana. The story kind of fizzled out, but half a century later, fishermen once again claimed that monster snapping turtle, this time estimated at a whopping 500 pounds, lurking in the same water. Soon, landowner Gail Harris and half the town were reporting sightings, and by 1949, the Beast of Busco, nicknamed Oscar, had become a national sensation, and crowds poured in by the thousands. Reporters covered it coast to coast, and state police had to manage traffic jams just to keep the order. So, determined to prove the beast was real, Harris tried everything: nets, trapped, even draining the 7-acre lake itself. The plan backfired spectacularly. When the dam burst, just as the water was nearly gone, a deep sea diver was called in next, but his gear was shipped to the wrong place, and Life magazine snapped nearly about 300 photos, but not a single clear shot of the creature emerged. It's like, why does that always happen?
That's some pretty crazy. I mean,
look, the three of us are here in like 1040, 1080 HD, and they took 300 photos and couldn't get a clear shot. That blows my mind. In the end, Oscar the giant turtle slipped away, leaving behind no shell, no proof, just a legend so big that Churubusco still celebrates it with Turtle Days.
Turtle Days.
Turtle Days.
Isn't that cool?
I like that.
3D's here.
3D.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we are 3D. We're just going through alphabetically and sometimes jumping around if we feel like it.
Couple of detours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. Do you guys know? I didn't have time to look it up. How long do turtles live?
Well, it depends on the turtle. Some of them, they only live like 2 weeks from babies, because either they get eaten on the beach, or some little person who won them at the fair decided that they just put them in a sock drawer. Galapagos turtles, the ones that have seen Darwin, are still alive.
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering, because it's possible that this great big huge turtle could have been seen in the 1800s and just got bigger and bigger up to.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that much about
them. There are
them.
a lot of reptiles live a very long time comparatively to other non-primate animals. They live a long time. Alligators, 80, 90, 100 years old. Turtles, 200-300 years old. So maybe
the big news in the next coming years that they'll find it and it's like 2,000 pounds going.
No shit.
You know why koi gets so big? Koi gets so big because they're not in fish tanks. Because a koi is basically a giant goldfish. I've had kois in koi ponds, and of course, as a dad and grandpa, I've had goldfish, whether I wanted them or not. But anyway, a turtle like that doesn't have the constraints of other turtles, doesn't have the competition for food, can grow huge. You see some of the leatherbacks out wherever the leatherbacks are. They're just massive. They're huge, and it's like, wow, that's got thousands of pounds.
So this could be surface again. Totally, you never know. That would be cool.
Yeah, because that's something that could happen. I mean, that's not without out of the bounds of the laws of physics or anything. Old turtles. Yeah. Some more about Indiana's cryptids and monsters. Let's talk about the Mill Race monster from Columbus, 1974. A green-faced biped seen in the park. In November 1974, Columbus, Indiana, erupted in panic over a creature that came to be known as the Mill Race monster. Witnesses described it as 6 to 7 feet tall, covered in dark hair, with a pale green face. On the very first day of sightings, 2 women swore it leapt onto their car, clawing at the hood and the windshield before vanishing into the woods. Scratches on the vehicle seemed to back them up. Over the next week, more people reported encounters. Two men spotted it near a covered bridge. A city dog catcher described the huge, hairy figure wrapped in green blankets that said "cats scattering in terror." Excuse me. UFO reports, right? UFO reports in the region only added fuel to the fire, with locals speculating about aliens, Bigfoot, or maybe even a political stunt gone wrong. Soon the hunt was on. Crowds of monster chasers armed with flashlights, clubs, and even guns, because America, swarmed Mill Race Park, forcing police to close the area after dark and even appoint a tongue-in-cheek monster control officer. Newspaper, that would be a great job. I'd love to have
The
that.
monster control office.
Really? Yeah. Newspapers begged the public, please calm down, but the hysteria only ended when the park committee jokingly listed monster roast on its agenda. No one ever proved the monster exists, but for a few wild weeks, Columbus hosted what historians later called the largest monster hunt in U.S. history. To this day, eyewitnesses like Tyra Cataline insist they weren't fooled. She says, "We thought we were going to die. It wasn't somebody in a costume."
Who would have thunk all that's going on in Indiana?
Right?
Kitty,
Right? What the hell, man?
it sounds like a
Biggest-
sleepy little place, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
The biggest monster hunt ever. It's like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Oh, this is a wild story. This is a
Ooh.
weird one.
Well, let's talk about the green-clawed beast, Evansville, 1955. In the sweltering summer of 1955, Evansville's Ohio River gave one swimmer a nightmare she'd never forget. Naomi Johnson and a friend were bobbing near shore when something brushed Naomi's leg, then gripped her knee with a huge, hairy, clawed hand and dragged her under. She fought free twice, scrambling to a rubber inner tube as the thing thumped the water nearby. When she finally staggered ashore, her leg was scratched and stamped with a spooky green handprint. Doctors treated her injuries. The local paper ran the story, and suddenly the riverbank was buzzing with UFO rumors and whispered theories about what, if anything, had grabbed her. The tale only gained traction when other locals reported silver discs over the river, and if Naomi's family is to be believed, a U.S. Air Force colonel later visited and quietly warned them not to talk about the encounter. Skeptics have floated explanations from misidentified wildlife to mass hysteria, but eyewitnesses insist Naomi's terror was real. Whether it was an amphibious monster, a prank gone horribly wrong, or something stranger, Evansville's green-clawed beast joined Indiana's long roster of unexplained river legends, one that still makes people think twice before wading in.
That's pretty wild. I don't care what
That
it
is
is.
very
If I
wild.
were in a river and something's pulling me and then leaves a green handprint on me, I'd be a little
Right?
freaked out too.
And it's funny because if that happened today, there'd be pictures everywhere. Everyone in that hospital room, wherever she ended up, would have their phones out. They'd be taking pictures and videos, posting it on TikTok.
Exactly. But anyway, I thought that was a weird one. I've never
That's a
heard
cool
of anything
story.
quite like that. Yeah.
That's a very cool story. There's the Crawfordsville monster from way back in 1891. In September 1891, the skies over Crawfordsville, Indiana, were filled with terror. Two ice delivery men swore they saw a massive white apparition, 18 feet long, 8 feet wide, flapping through the night sky like a giant shroud. It had fins, a flaming eye, and gave off a wheezing cry that chilled them to the bone. Soon others, including a local pastor and his wife, watched in awe as the thing writhed and twisted above the city, even threatening to descend on a senator's windows lawn. Newspapers seized on the Crawfordsville monster, spreading panic and speculation from Indiana to Brooklyn. Some thought it was a UFO. Others heralded Judgment Day, and letters poured in begging to know if it might be drifting west. Eventually, cooler heads declared the monster to be something far less terrifying, a flock of disoriented killdeer birds reflecting the city's new electric lights and crying in eerie unison. Why is it always birds? Others pointed to a ballooning craze. A ballooning craze in town. Oh my God! Can you imagine the newspaper headline? Ballooning craze takes over city, downtown a mess. Everyone's high on helium. Others pointed to a ballooning craze in town where boys sometimes even sent cats aloft for fun. Still, the legend took hold, and over a century later, the Carpentersville Monster remains one of Indiana's strangest airborne mysteries. A tale so bizarre that even skeptics can't resist retelling it under a dark sky.
Ooh.
There were a lot of newspaper accounts on that one. It's pretty famous. We've
Yeah.
got a question that I don't think I'm capable of answering, but maybe you are.
This
If the space capsule landed in the Gulf, then why no steam when hitting the water? Parachute straps should have melted from the heat. Okay. No
Did they have
steam?
like a cooling thing? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
My thought is, why are we assuming that when it landed, it was at a temperature? Because that's what we think everything would be, at a temperature that would be destructive.
Sure, yeah.
Well, don't they heat up when they hit the
Yeah,
atmosphere?
atmospheric friction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's some kind of casing that they put on it that, at least from what I've seen, that may cool it down. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the parachutes can be explained if that first question could be answered, because there are Kevlar lined. Can't remember the word for it. We used to wrap knife handles with it. Paracord that could withstand very high temperatures and very stress pulls. But I don't know about how they're attached.
So,
Because
Doug,
if the parachute opened up while it was coming through the atmosphere, he's right. It would have melted. So that parachute had to have been released after it got through the atmosphere, but before it hit the water. That doesn't explain, though, why there would be no steam. Maybe the salt water has something to do with it. I don't know. It's a good
or the
question,
ceramic
though.
casing they put on that, it might be.
Yeah.
But okay, so Doug, did one just come through the atmosphere? Or is this I don't know if this is like a new thing or not. And then Keith asks, are UFOs, UAPs attracted to water?
I think we did a segment on that, and I don't think there were the results of their investigation didn't say very much one way or the other. It just seemed to be the same.
Yeah, I think it depends on whatever kind it is, because I know some of them do seem to be. There was probably a compartment concealed that the parachute blew a hatch off.
See, this is why I'm not a rocket scientist.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it was earlier this year. It was stuck in space for 8 months. Oh yeah, I kind of remember that because they were worried about where it would crash.
Right.
All right, Doug, good question. I'm going to have to look that stuff up because I don't know. I certainly am not a rocket scientist. But very good questions. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Ooh.
I don't know what this little
Puckwudgies.
square is, but
Puckwudgies, Mounds State Park.
I want a Puckwudgie.
Puckwudgies. That could be either very adorable or horrendous. Most Hoosiers think their woods are just trees and squirrels until the Puckwudgies decide to show up. Rooted in Lenape, Dankstead, rooted in Lenape, Delaware. These 3-foot-tall tricksters are said to lurk in places like Mountain State Park and Anderson, popping up as tiny goblin-like little people who can shift into animals and cause mischief. So a toddler. Okay. Paul Startzman collected dozens of local accounts, from a 10-year-old who swore he saw a helmet-haired little man in 1927 to nursing home memories of high-pitched voices speaking an unknown tongue, and the stories keep popping up. whenever someone hikes the trails at dusk. Are they real? That's the fun part. Sightings range from the politely curious to the downright unnerving. Locals will tell you the puckwudgies watch from the underbrush. They mimic sounds or nudge you off a path to see what to do next, whether you treat them as a folklore tied to indigenous storytelling or as tiny forest phantoms. They add a mischievous, eerie wrinkle to Indiana's woods. That's cool.
I've got an answer for Doug here. I looked it up.
Cool.
So space capsules don't steam upon hitting water because there's no significant external heat source or impact to vaporize the water. And any residual heat from re-entry is much less intense by the time of splashdown, allowing the abatable heat shield to protect it from burning up. So by the time the capsule enters the ocean, it's moving at a relatively slow speed, and the intense heat of re-entry is no longer present. They also have an ablative heat shield, kind of what I was thinking of, the ceramic. Space capsules are coated with ablative materials that are designed to burn away, vaporize, and carry the heat away from the capsule during re-entry. That's kind of what I was thinking was what it was coated in.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah,
And
that
he's got another question here. Ever wondered why a Bigfoot has never been caught? Yes, I have wondered that, Doug.
Yeah.
Any comments?
I think everybody has, it's like, I mean, they're everywhere. It's like, all of a sudden someone says, hey, I discovered this thing called a dog. Yeah. They're everywhere. Every state that we have done
Had a Bigfoot.
had a, or at least some.
Except for
sort of
Hawaii didn't.
of a bipedal cryptid. And yeah, you would think with the technology we have now that some billionaire somewhere that just really has nothing to do, is bored as hell, would just throw a freaking satellite up just for Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah,
Leave it up
or
there.
even put those wildlife cams all over.
Yeah,
So-
just leave it up there. Just leave it up, a couple of them, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Just leave them up there and give the IP address to everybody. This way here, if someone posts a video, hey, look, that's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
1,000 other people are going to be, and they have the video, and then as the satellite moves, you get different angles. I know. It's a little complicated, probably not
Well, Doug,
feasible,
he
but
asked
still
if
fun to
it's
talk about.
he asked if it's interdimensional. That we've heard that theory before too, and that a lot of times Bigfoot sightings seem to correlate with UFO sightings. So who knows? Anything's possible there.
That's a really cool hypothesis.
Yeah, that one struck me too.
Yeah, that one word. Yeah, that would actually
It makes
explain
sense.
things. Yeah, that would actually explain things. Wow, cool.
Wow.
I learn something new every day. Which is
Well,
nice.
here's our
Every day
Bigfoot
or two.
lore, Al.
Okay, yeah. As we were just talking about, Indiana's Bigfoot and wild man lore. The Hoosier State has its share of hairy legends. Since the 1970s, hikers in Morgan Monroe State Forest have reported tree knocks, whoops, and looming shadow figures deep in the woods, while nearby Yellowwood State Forest has given campers sleepless nights with rock throwing and strange howls. Greene and Owen counties add to the tally, with the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization logging multiple ape-man sightings along creeks and farmland. But the lore runs even deeper. In the 1800s, settlers in the Kankakee River Basin whispered about wild men stealing livestock and scaring travelers. A clear Bigfoot prototype in old newspapers. Down south along the Ohio River, tales of giant tracks and unearthly screams still echo Kentucky's Bigfoot traditions. Put it all together, and Indiana's forests, river bottoms, and hollows look less like quiet backcountry and more like prime stomping grounds for a very large and very elusive neighbor.
Here you go, Al.
One last question. If we evolve... Oh, no. I spent decades on this. I don't want to talk about
That's why I said, here you go, Al.
it. No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, you're entitled. There are explanations out there. Just ask that question in your browser. And
Yes,
you'll come up with a lot of stuff.
because it's a whole show.
It's a whole show. God, we made a whole season out of it.
Yes.
Portals, time slips, and legends. This one's about the Ammon House in Gary, Indiana. In 2011, a Gary, Indiana family claimed their home was plagued by demonic forces. Children levitated, voices growled, and even police and social workers said they saw chilling things. The saga drew national headlines, inspired Zach Bagans' Demon House documentary, and later became the basis for the 2024 film The Deliverance. Whether it was a possession, performance, or pure panic, the Ammon's haunting remains one of Indiana's most infamous modern-day ghost stories. Bagans eventually tore down the house. There's a picture of it
So,
up on the screen
okay,
there.
so pay attention to that picture because I'm going to show you what they filmed. I saw Bagans. I couldn't get through it. It was just didn't really appeal to me. But this is, now you saw that house. Now here's the Netflix version of it.
Remember, before we get started, whatever it says to you, do not listen to it. It will play on your heart, it will play on your mind. My name is Apostle Bernice James. The other person present is Ebony Jackson, the mother. Father, we ask that you cleanse and sanctify us for this deliverance. Ebony, get back.
If you believe, you shall be saved. You shall be saved. You shall be saved. You shall be saved.
That was a great movie. I love
That was
movie. And
kind
that
of
movie-
a cultural thing too, but
Yeah.
it's remarkable when you see this house and then that one. What they
Yeah,
have to
well,
do in movies, but it was a good. I thought it was a good, especially because a lot of these sort of stories, it's usually just white people, and
Yeah,
it had a racial element there. And then Glenn Close, I thought was excellent in it.
yeah.
also.
Well, she's a national treasure, man.
Keith wants to know: can UFOs be interdimensional?
Yeah, okay. I mean, why not?
Yeah, why not? And Teresa,
You know
says
the Amityville.
thing to that.
You know the Amityville horror story,
Yeah.
the movie, right? It's based on a true story, and the house, right, with the windows, with those creepy windows.
Mhm.
I lived in Amityville, and I will expand on this when we get to New York. I lived in Amityville, and I knew where that house was. We all knew where that house was. Thing is in the movie, they made the house a lot bigger than it was, and on a large lot. When in reality, it's the 2-story 3-2 that style, and it's in a neighborhood. And there's a house right next to it on this side, and there's a house right next to it on that side. And there's a house right behind it. It's in a subdivision, in a little subdivision. And the people changed the windows on it. Actually, they changed the whole front of the house because they weren't getting any peace. There were cars going up and down.
I had heard
all
that.
night, taking pictures, taking videos. Beeping the horn and all that. So they and if you look up the address on Google Maps and Apple Maps, the whole house, the whole area is blurred out, even from street view. They just got tired of it.
Oh yeah, people just always show.
And I thought of that because you made the comparison of the actual house against the one that they had in the movie. Obviously, they embellished.
Yep. Oh yeah. You almost
Poetic
have to, I
license,
guess.
man. You know, you're the writer. You can make it whatever you want.
Exactly. But anyway, when Zach Bagan lived there, he said he got real sick from it and all of that. I
Yeah.
didn't, like I said, I didn't watch his whole thing, but he had it torn down. And so then I was reading some reports where priests and stuff were saying that people were still like going out there where it's, the building's been raised and they're still
Mhm.
doing ceremonies and stuff. So I'm
Mhm.
sure the neighborhood doesn't like that either.
Yeah.
So
Just put a parking lot there or gas station.
yeah.
Portals, time slips, and legends. Okay, well, now we're going to talk a little bit about what we're just talking about with our esteemed guest. On the northeast side of Indianapolis, teenagers once dared each other to sneak down to down a wooded drive to glimpse a bizarre sight: a mansion glowing with eerie blue Christmas lights. Rumors said a millionaire kept his dead wife in a glass coffin inside the house, forever lit in her favorite color. The house belonged to Skiles Test, an eccentric inventor in love with the love of cats, cars, and all things blue. In reality, his wives all outlived him, but that didn't stop the story from spreading. By the 1950s, the so-called House of Blue Lights had become a full-blown urban legend, drawing so many trespassers that the Skiles were constantly battling vandals, pranksters, midnight swimmers in their pool, etc. When Skiles died in 1964, 50,000 people swarmed the estate just to peek at the infamous property. The house and its outbuildings were torn down in the 70s, but the legend never died. Today, the land is Skiles Test Nature Park, but locals still whisper about strange blue glows flickering between the trees. Whether it was fueled by gossip, teenage dares, or just Skiles' quirky taste in the lighting, the House of Blue Lights remains one of Indiana's most unforgettable ghost stories.
Can you imagine, like, if you're the widow and then 50,000 people are at your, trying to snoop in your house? I mean, that's just rude.
That's
It's
why the
awful.
people who own the Amityville house just redid the whole house. It looks nothing like it. And good,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neighbors probably didn't like it either. It's like,
No, but to have to radically change or tear down a building, because it makes someone uncomfortable, leave it up. Why not?
Yeah.
Leave it up. See what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
3D says, I want to do a time slip. I just usually regular slip. Forest plus water equals
There's no carpet in Central America. Everything is tile. Outside, inside of a house, outside of a house, sidewalks, stores, half the streets. And it rains 9 months out of the year.
You're sliding everywhere.
Oh my
You need
God.
suction
And the
cups
sidewalks
on the
are all
bottom of
uneven,
your.
too. They're like, oh man. Anyway. Regular slips. Long before the Roman Colosseum rose in Europe, builders in what is now Indiana were shaping massive earthworks that remain a mystery today. Somewhere between 250 BC and 50 AD, these mounds were carefully aligned with the heavens. The great mound appears to catch the rising sun at the summer and winter solstices, while its surrounding gateways line up with the spring and the fall equinox, far from simple piles of earth. The mounds may have functioned as both a gathering place, giant calendars written into the landscape. Legends, however, add another layer of intrigue. Stories tell of Pukwudgies. Yes, they're back. Small, mischievous, goblin-like beings from native folklore said to roam the forests around the mound. Hikers have reported feeling watched or hearing strange voices in the trees, leading some to wonder if the ancient builders intended these places not just as monuments to the sky, but as portals where worlds might meet.
These Pukwudgie things.
I know, right? They sound adorable. Like
I
Yeah,
know.
they do.
But there's some voodoo quality to them. I see pins in my mind.
But they, some accounts they talk in this little high, like blurry sort of like voice.
Yeah.
You wonder maybe they are like aliens or something that was like tied to these mounds. But I would
Maybe
think
they
that
just
with
come out to mess
LiDAR,
with us.
pardon?
Maybe they just come out to mess with us. Yeah, like we were talking the last story or two that was about the teenagers and all that. Well, maybe in this other dimension, they're the teenagers, and they say, "Hey, let's go check over out this place where we're not supposed to go." And they peek up and look around, but they can't see us. So just looking
Could
around,
very
we're
well
like,
be.
"How is that?"
And that's quite interdimensional, actually.
See,
So, but these mounds are really interesting. I can't help but wonder with LiDAR and just being able to almost like X-ray into these to see what's in them. I'm curious if it's just burial mounds or if they're what they are, what's in them. But to have them aligned with these solstices is
I
kind of
would like to see.
interesting.
I think that'd be a cool thing to see. We have technology now that we can see through Earth.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure somebody's studying it somewhere, and we'll find out. So, time for UFOs. Woohoo!
UFOs and aerial oddities. This is about the 1973 UFO wave, a cluster of sightings all across Indiana. In October 1973, East Central Indiana was buzzing, literally, with UFO mania. For days, Muncie newspapers carried national headlines about flying saucers. Then the lights showed up locally. Hundreds of residents reported mysterious multicolored objects darting over the city while police phone lines lit up with calls. Some sightings were blamed on weather balloons. Jesus wept.
There's a lot of them out there these days.
There's a lot of weather balloons out there. I didn't know there was such a big market in weather balloons. Others blame the National Guard helicopters, and still others on partially spooky imagination. One terrified woman swore a UFO landed behind her home, while another caller ominously declared, "There are people out there that are not people." I think that now.
That's just true.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, the craze coincided with the now famous Pascagoula abduction story in Mississippi, and even UFO researcher J. Allen Hynek weighed in, saying Earth was likely being visited. Reports poured in from Hartford City, Jay County, and Dunkirk, where a UFO turned out to be nothing more than a tractor and two combines. By late October, right? What? How in the no? I mean, hearing banjos. By late October, the sightings fizzled out, but not before inspiring Halloween costumes, cheeky sports comparisons, and even a Dairy Queen ad that screamed UFO lands at North Dairy Queen. Fort Strange Muncie was at the center of a cosmic carnival.
I love it. I just love it.
Oh,
The combine thing, I just about lost it. It was like, oh my God. That's pretty cool.
Oh, gosh. City of Firsts, Kokomo, since 1884. This is also UFOs and aerial oddities. The Kokomo balloon happened in 2008, was eventually explained in 2016. Boom, boom, boom. That's what people in north central Indiana heard, rattling their windows and shaking their walls one late night in Howard County. From Kokomo to Tipton, residents ran outside to see fiery lights streaking across the sky, some swearing they saw a plane explode or a meteor shower rain down. Calls poured into dispatch, glowing balls of flame, house shaking. Even one man convinced the truck had hit his building. For a few tense hours, it looked like a disaster had struck Indiana's heartland. Truth, not aliens, not meteors, and definitely not a fireball from space, not even Jewish space lasers. There's F-16 fighter jets out of Fort Wayne running air combat drills. The booms were sonic. The flashes were defensive flares, and the timing, 10:30 p.m. on a school night, earned the Guard a chorus of complaints. After admitting one jet slipped supersonic when it shouldn't have, the military promised an investigation and vowed to warn local police before future nighttime maneuvers. Still, for 2 nights, Kokomo got a front row seat to a scene that looked like Independence Day had come early. And
It sure took them a long time to admit it, though.
I know,
leaving
right?
people wondering. I know down in I had relatives that lived in a little place called Killeen, which is near Fort Hood in Texas. And it was so loud there with the tanks and everything from their military. Everybody had to tape their windows because it did. Everything shook. And so if you weren't expecting that in a little town like this and you're seeing all these lights flying around, I can imagine. You would think they would have told them what it was earlier, just so people wouldn't freak out. But
I haven't been able to find the news story of this, but someone will. Because it's something that happened where I grew up. We lived like a half a mile away from Grumman Aerospace, where they were doing the F-14s, and Grumman builds whatever Lockheed doesn't build, Grumman builds. And one day that happened. Sonic Boom came over.
Oh, gee!
And everybody's freaking windows broke.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like
Believe it.
8 or 9 years old, so I'm drawing from the memory of 8 or 9 years old. But it seemed to me that the whole freaking neighborhood was bitching about all the windows broke.
Oh, I'm sure the
And
insurance company wasn't happy either.
No, because their insurance company had to get whole new windows for us.
Yeah.
So everyone that got affected got the windows. But yeah, that I would imagine that. It scared me. I don't have a memory of being scared of it, but as a young child, just out of toddlery, that would probably have made me piss my pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one I will play one because I was actually able to find a one that was Creative Commons, so I could play
that
it.
gives me a chance to have one of these donuts.
There you go.
Lights appear in the sky, and more tri-staters are asking, what were they? And this is a picture sent to us by Kimley McCraw. This is what she says she saw outside of her Princeton, Indiana home Thanksgiving night. Brandon Bartlett back from Gibson County now. He joins us with this mystery, Brandon.
Well, David McCraw says she's a skeptic of UFOs, but says she definitely saw something right out of a movie. She grabbed her camera and got them on tape.
So these are like the first ones that I took.
Kimley McCraw is eager to show anyone the pictures that she took Thanksgiving night in hopes that someone could explain just what she saw in the sky over her home in Princeton.
They just stayed in that one four, all 4 of them, and they just moved across the sky.
The objects immediately caught McCraw's attention. She even pointed them out to a neighbor who stopped by.
And I was like, what is that? And she kind of turned around and came back, and she's like, that's an airplane. And I said, that is not an airplane.
McCraw says it was just before 7 o'clock when she started seeing these objects rise from the horizon. She says they didn't make a sound, all glowed and changed colors, all were about the same size, and all appeared to just float up into the air.
And they all took the same path. And then sometimes there would be 2, sometimes 4.
In all, she says, there were about 20 to 30 of them that she and her family saw in a period of 10 minutes. And they weren't the only ones to see those strange objects in the sky recently. Some in Henderson and even southern Illinois posted on social media that they saw objects too.
I don't really know what really to think of this.
We took the video to Francis Ridge, a coordinator for the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. He has experience in investigating these strange sights.
The brightness, speed, rectilinear path, the color, the way they move without bobbing up and down like this, and it would strongly suggest these jack-o'-lantern type balloons.
But Ridge says he can't say for sure what they are. He says they look like a Japanese lantern and says it was definitely not a meteor shower. We want to know, did you see these lights too? If so, we want to know. Just log on to our 14 News Facebook page to let us know. Brandon Bartlett, 14 News.
Thanks, Brandon.
A weather
So, well,
balloon.
yeah. Well, at least they're creative with them. They're Japanese lanterns.
Oh,
But you'd think that if it was on the news and people are all, if somebody had some kind of celebration where they set off
mhm.
lanterns, you'd think that they would say something.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what they look like to me is the stuff that we see out here, those red, like lights that go, they look kind of like that.
I don't know.
Like Jose had caught those. Matt, who lives out there, he's
Right.
caught those. And they're like these red that come up, and they'll change colors sometimes too. That's what it made me think of. But I
Well,
wasn't
and I could
sure.
almost understand the Japanese balloon thing because we've all seen those. They're square. I don't know about the changing colors. That could be anything, but to have several of them moving in the same pattern, that's where a lot of people. That's that line.
Right, and I think she
I don't
said,
believe that. I don't believe And then wait a minute. Okay, why would 4 of those, right, being
Yep.
flying symmetrically?
and I think she said there were like 30 or 40 of them. Did they say
Yeah,
that?
even
So I was
then,
like, that's an awful lot of them.
Yeah. Well, come on. We don't know what it is. That's why it's unidentified. But to be so sure what it is or what it isn't, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So Indiana has theirs too, I guess. So I just
Yeah.
thought that was kind of interesting.
That was very cool. Oh, and here we have the
There's Enigma.
Enigma UFO sightings in Indiana. How many? There's that bump again that always
Yep.
that's been showing up consistently right around the drone time. Wasn't that right around the time of those drones, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
Yeah,
in
more people are looking
Indiana,
up. You got people looking up when they're usually looking down at their phone. Well, there's going to be more. So that's that's better
Exactly.
for people who believe this shit is possible. So cool.
well, and the thing is, what I find interesting is that the last couple states that we've been doing too. Okay, so you see that spike when the
Yeah.
drones were active.
Right.
Well, lately they're going up again. And that seems to be across the board. It's not like they're going down. They always seem to be following the same path on the graph,
Yeah.
which is, I think, kind of interesting. No matter what state, it seems to be following that same path.
Yeah.
So-
20, 24. Yeah. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
where that could be. You can look at that and see that. Look, that could be a pattern.
Yeah.
That could definitely be a pattern. But yeah, see, that's high strangeness, right? So the end for now, from cryptids to UFOs, Indiana proves the paranormal highway is always an entertaining ride. Next stop, Iowa. Cool.
So Indiana was way more interesting. than
Yeah,
thought
I
it would
didn't
Who would have
realize.
thought?
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that Indiana was so strange. I mean, outside of Gary.
Gary, I've driven through that, and maybe it's changed now, but when I went through, it was just almost heartbreaking
It's a
to
ghost town.
see so much. Yeah, I mean, so many abandoned, derelict
Yeah.
buildings. Just how that economy crashed when. Well, wasn't it steel that used to run Gary, and then now
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
oh,
There's nothing there. I feel, I mean, that's horrible. A whole city
yeah.
destroyed. Yeah.
Well,
Ooh,
thank you, Teresa, for
Yes.
joining us.
yes.
And folks, for our next shows, you can always call in because I finally have the phone thing working now.
Nice.
So if anyone has stories that have happened to them or questions or whatever, you're always welcome to call, and it just patches right through in here. And part of what we're doing with our Saturday Cosmic Fold is we're going to start switching this up to probably like the first and third Saturdays of every month. And then the second and fourth, we're changing gears a little bit to promote small towns, rural businesses, that kind of thing. which will be on the organic promotions end of things. And that'll have all kinds of interesting stories, not necessarily paranormal, but kind of lifestyle, fun, interesting kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're going to do. That's what we discussed last week anyway. We'll see if it happens. What do y'all think?
I think it sounds great.
Yeah, because we want to, I think the way things are going these days, there's a lot of people that want to get out of the city and move to a rural area, and it's got its own nuances to live in small towns like we do.
Sure.
And there's a lot of real smart, interesting, it's even like this little tiny town that I'm in, I think they had like 7 or 6 like Supreme Court justices. It's like all these like high-end, state Supreme Court justices come from here. And then the Udalls, there's a lot of interesting stories, so we'll explore the past and the present in those and really try to help some people get promoted on the internet for all the cool little businesses that they might have or just life or insight or just whatever kind of stuff. So we'll hit, what are we on the 3rd Saturday this month? I have no idea. I think we are. So the first Saturday in October, I can't even believe September is almost over already.
I know.
So the first Saturday of October, we will hit Iowa, and then next week we'll be on organic promotions, probably more as an intro for the rural show. So
come check it out. Come check it out. Be lots of
yeah.
fun.
So I'll be posting everywhere, and I just want to thank everybody that was here tonight and for your questions and comments, and just hope you have a better week, Al. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
It's when all your friends start checking out. It's hard.
Yeah, you get to that age where you're going from 4 funerals and weddings. It's part of life.
Yeah, that was COVID out here. It was really awful.
Oh.
So, and Bo, thank you so much.
Yeah, you look great.
We like their new camera. It's really nice. It's very cool.
I missed
you did a good job.
I'm still working on the tin hat thing. Give me a minute.
That could be the craft part. All right. Well, everybody, thank you. Thank you, Al, for your reading. And so we'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us. We love hearing your stories, so tell your friends so they can join the party. For show notes and our forum of high strangeness, visit CosmicFold.com. Remember, Cosmic Fold airs live on Wednesday and Saturday nights, so be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to know when we're on air. Thanks again and have a great evening.